Hi everybody, and welcome to the Ciao Enchanted Land mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. All of the products that I am using here that are from the Scrap and Create website are listed in the description box below, so you can just click on those links and follow along in the tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to begin decorating page 1. So I have my base page here. I'm going to bring this back in later, but first I'm going to start cutting the pieces for the front of page 1. For the first piece, it measures 8 inches by 4 inches. On the 8-inch side, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch and 7 1/2 inches. The second piece measures 6.5 by 4 inches. On the left hand side of the 6.5 inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Next, I have a piece that measures 3.5 inches by 10 inches. On the 10-inch side, I'm going to score this at 2.5, 5, and 7.5. I have two pieces that measure 3.5 by 8 inches. On the 3.5 inch side, I'm going to score this at 1 3/4 inch. Then I'm going to turn this piece. On the 8-inch side, I'm going to come in at 2 1/4 inches and just place a little tiny mark. I'm not going to score this all the way, so just a little mark so I know where it is. You can also use pencil if you want to. Then I'm going to come in here at 2 1/4 from this side. So for me, this is at 6 3/4. Then I'm going to turn my piece and do the same thing, 2 1/4, 6 3/4. Now on my scoreboard, I have taken a black marker and went all the way down the number 6, just so that I can make this easier for me when I want to line something up diagonally. So I am going to be using this line, and I'm going to diagonally score this. So where my hash mark is, I'm just lining those up, and then I'm going to score this straight down. Then I'm going to turn and do the same thing for this one. So I'm going to bring all my pieces in. I'm going to get rid of my scoreboard, and we're going to start folding these and placing these on the page. I'm going to take my first piece that's 8 inches by 4 inches and miter the corners on these tabs. Then for my second piece, the 6.5 by 4 inch piece, I'm going to miter the corners on these tabs. So I'm going to fold back on these tabs and use my bone folder to burnish the folds. And then I'll do the same thing on this one and burnish this fold. Now taking the base of my page, using your ruler, I use a centering ruler. So I measure the center of my page, and I'm going to place this here. This is going to be a belly band on the page. Now I've already marked it. If you don't have a centering ruler, you are going to need to measure up 2 1/8 inch from the bottom edge and down 2 1/8 inch from the top edge. Then we're going to add the adhesive here to the back of the 1/2 inch tabs on both sides. And then we're going to adhere this down on the page. And I'm going to make sure that it's centered and also that it lines up with the side of the page. If you go to do this and your piece is too large, you're going to need to make sure that you pull it off, trim it, and rescore it. Once you have it on, again, I like to go in the center and push outwards so that everything is nice and straight and flat. Next, I'm going to use my centering ruler across the piece that we just put on. So I am going to mark at 3 inches from center on each side, or a 1/2 inch over from each side if you don't have a centering ruler. Then I'm going to take my piece and apply my adhesive here on this 1/2 inch tab section. And I'm going to adhere this on the left hand side, making sure that the top and bottom edges are lined up. Everything is nice and straight. Then I will burnish this down. For the next piece, we're going to fold back on the score line in the center. Make sure this is in half, burnish. Then we're going to take these ones and fold the opposite direction and burnish those folds. So then I have this, it's like a W or a mountain and valley fold. I'm going to set this aside for now, and we're going to fold these pieces. So this is what the piece is going to look like when it's done. I'm going to show you how to do this. So first, we're going to fold in half and burnish. Now I'm going to erase these so that you can't see these when I'm finished. Then we're going to open up the fold and fold on the diagonal and burnish that. Open that one, fold on the other diagonal and burnish. And now, flipping this over, I'm going to take my thumbs and press in on that fold, press in on that fold. So again, when you have it this way, you have all of your folds, you can squeeze this in and fold, squeeze this in and fold. Make sure that these two pieces meet in the center, there's not a gap and they're not overlapping. Then take your bone folder and burnish these down. And you want to try to burnish this into a point that's not lumpy to make sure that it lays as flat as possible. This is a bit bulky, so it's good to have thinner cardstock like the 65-pound cardstock here, because the more thickness, it's going to be a little bit bulkier. Next, we're going to assemble the mechanism to the page, and we only need one. So I've marked this in the center of my score line, so 2 inches up or down from the bottom. Now I'm going to be taking this and I'm going to be placing this so that the point of my triangle is right there on that center part on my score line. So I am going to be adhering this piece down only on this part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my adhesive in just the triangle section. Then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to center it top and bottom as well. So I'm first going to get this so that the point is on the score line, then centering top and bottom, and then use my bone folder to burnish that down. I'm going to open this up and press this down to get this adhered down to that page. So now I've got my triangular piece adhered to this part. I'm going to fold this back up, and then I'm going to apply my adhesive to the triangle section. Then I'm going to tuck this in and close this. Going to adhere that down. Then I'm going to open this up and adhere this triangular section to the base of the page. So now I have my pop-up mechanism in the book, and I just need to add this to this section. We're going to take the pop-up piece, fold each end in, so we have a piece like this. I'm going to fold it this direction just so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to place this right here. So where this center piece is, pretend there is a horizontal line there and place your piece there. If you want to draw a horizontal line to line this up, you can, but I'm just going to set that there. Then I'm going to hold this in place here and flip it open. I'm going to line this up to make sure both edges this way are in line. Then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to just draw a line here from the left edge to this score line. And I'm going to draw a line here just so you can see this too. This is where I'm going to place my adhesive. And then down here in the opposite corner, I'm going to draw another line. And this is where I'm going to place my adhesive. So I'm going to add my adhesive. If you don't feel comfortable holding this in place when you're doing this, you can go ahead and let go of it, put your adhesive down, and then put your piece back in position. So once I have my adhesive there, I'm going to take this piece and press up into my adhesive to adhere it on. Then I'm going to take my glue and apply the adhesive here. And adhere this down. Now, when I close this, my piece will twist. Let me get this up first. You might have to push it in the first time just to get it all to go together, okay? Then when you open it up, it will close on its own. So it twists and pop up, and we'll be able to place 4 photos there. You can even place photos here, or we'll do decorations. Haven't decided yet, obviously, but this will be our main feature. And once we come back into the page and we do more, we'll decorate this, and then we will add a photo mat or a photo booklet behind this, behind the belly band. So this is going to be it for the front of page 1. I'm going to leave this just because this is so thick. It's going to create a thicker page once I do get the paper on there and a bow holding it shut, so I don't want to keep adding more to this. I'm going to next turn over here and we'll start on the back of page 1. The first piece for the back of page 1 needs to be cut to 4 inches by 7 inches. On the left hand side, on the 4-inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. Then we need to cut one piece to 7 inches by 7 inches. We're going to score this on the right hand side at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to cut a piece to 5 inches by 7 inches on the left hand side of the 5-inch side. We're going to cut at 1/2 inch, or we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Next, I'm going to take my scissors and miter each of the ends on my 1/2 inch tab sections. Then I'm going to fold back on these score lines and burnish these folds. I need to cut one piece to 4 inches by 8¼ inches. On the left hand side, along the 4-inch side, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to take my scissors and miter these corners. Next, I'll fold on my score line and burnish this down. And I'm going to start with this one on the base of the page. So I'm going to glue this here on the left-hand side. So first we'll be adding adhesive to this 1/2 inch tab section. Then I'm going to line up the score line with the edge of the page. Make sure the top and bottom are also in line, and then I will burnish this down. Now this is going to be a pocket when it's done, so I'm just going to put a P there so that I remember to turn that into a pocket. Over here on this side, I'm going to take my 7x7 piece and adhere this flap over here into the center. So I will use my centering ruler here to place my piece. So I need to mark this 3½ inches from the center, or if you are measuring up from the bottom or down from the top, you need to measure 5/8 of an inch. Then we're going to take the adhesive and apply it to the 1/2 inch tab section. And then applying this, lining the score line up with the edge of the page. Once you have that on, go ahead and burnish this with the bone folder so you get it nice and adhered. I'm going to take my ruler and starting with the edge of this flap, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to take my adhesive and place it on this 1/2 inch tab. And I'm going to apply this at that 1/2 inch mark, making sure the top and bottom line up, and I'm going to adhere this down. Taking the last piece, I'm going to apply my adhesive to the 1/2 inch tab. And I actually scored this on the wrong side for the writing, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. The writing will just be upside down. And I'm going to adhere this. So the score line is at the edge of my flap and the top and bottom should line up. And I'll adhere this down here. So this, I may end up adding a pocket here for some little tags. I may just leave it as a flap, haven't decided yet, and I'll decide that once I start adding my decorative papers. This will be a pocket. We'll have a photo mat or a photo booklet or one of the cut apart cards in there. Then this flap here will open up and it'll just be a flap room for photos. So this is it for the back of page 1, and we have our pop-up mechanism on the front of page 1. In the next tutorial, we will begin working on page 2. So we're going to go through each of the page bills first, and then we'll come back with the decorative papers after that's finished. If you're just joining the tutorial series, don't forget to check out the previous videos where you learn to build the cover and the base of the pages, and also check out the supply list video, or you can click on the links in the description box below for all of the supplies that are available for you to create this album that are on the Scrap and Create website, as well as the different products that are available for purchase in my Etsy shop. See you in the next tutorial.